Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about the new benchmark that Donald Trump has set. Uh, uh, Reshma, Reshma, I'm going live. Yeah. Uh, Sorry about that. So today I'm going to talk to you about the new benchmark that Donald Trump has set for the end of the war. He says he's not willing to negotiate until there is a completely unconditional surrender from Iran. This is his claim that he will not negotiate until there is an unconditional surrender from Iran. So I just want to unpack that comment. I think it's dumber than his previous comments. So, for example, in the past, he's tried to say that he was open for negotiations with Iran while he was bombing Iran. And the Iranian foreign minister quite appropriately said that, look, we tried to negotiate with you twice, and during the negotiations, you attacked us. This was in the first war with Iran last year, and again this time. In fact, the moderators of the negotiations, the Omani foreign minister, who was on U.S. television, said very clearly that Iran was ready to accept all the conditions that the United States had imposed with regards to its nuclear program. They were only they had reached a stage where they were going to discuss the modalities on how to implement those agreements, and then the United States attacked with Israel, attacked Iran, and we know that this it is very clear that the United States was dragged into this war by Benjamin Netanyahu because he announced that he was going to attack, I guess, and so like Marco Rubio said, that they had no choice but to join Israel in its attack. So it's clearly the tail wagging the dog. But what does Donald Trump really think when he says unconditional surrender? One of the things that he's assuming is that there is a unitary regime in Iran at the moment, that there is some leader out there who will say, okay, fine, we are suffering quite a bit of losses. We are suffer most of our conventional capabilities and also our ballistic missile capabilities are being destroyed. So let us surrender. And so who is going to announce the surrender? The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, was killed in the first attack itself. Now there is no major leadership. Most of the leadership has been decimated. And there is no opportunity for these people to have internal dialogues because the US intelligence is so good that they will find out and they will kill them. So, who is going to announce an unconditional surrender to Donald Trump? Is it IRGC or is it the Artesh, the army? So, that is an interesting question that I would like to ask. And as we go along, as the United States decimates the leadership of the Iranian, what's going to happen is that fragmentation is going to take place. So there will be different groups which are quite autonomous. They call it the mosaic response, which means that the Iranian leadership has said, look, there's a great threat to the leaders themselves. They are probably going to be killed very quickly. So you are on your own. So field commanders are on their own. And Marco Rubio also said so much that yes, the field commanders are on their own. So imagine this scenario, say a week from now, that the United States kills more of Iranian leaders and they want unconditional surrender. So the commander of one particular area may surrender, but the commander from some another area will not surrender. You know, we saw lots of Western movies and Western novels that I have read where even after the Civil War, there were rogue commanders who would not surrender and they would continue fighting. But in this case, uh, surrender by one division, by one unit, by one particular Iranian branch of the government, let's say the army surrenders or the navy surrenders, there is no legitimacy to that. Others are not required to accept that because it will be just the decision of the local commander on the ground there. So I think this is kind of a stupid and dumb condition to imply. It's basically saying that we will not negotiate or we will not do anything. Fine, that's fine. The Iranians are also not interested in negotiating with the United States. In fact, as an American, I would recommend anybody in the world is not trust the United States when it comes to negotiation, especially when it has anything to do with Israel, because the US will do anything, anything and everything that Netanyahu wants, and that man is unworthy of trust. He's a war criminal wanted by 100. He cannot even travel to over 120 countries. So negotiating with the United States, I mean, how dumb would Iran have to be to take the U.S. Uh, suggestion for negotiations seriously? So what is this end game now? It is very clear that the Trump administration has moved steadily and is talking without using the words regime change, talking about regime change. So Donald Trump, when he was asked, would this clown joker Raza Shah Pahlavi, whatever his name is, the so-called crown prince, he calls himself the crown prince of Iran, will he be installed in Iran as the next leader of Iran? I don't know what title they would give him, king. Will he be the Shah of Iran? And Donald Trump said no, very clearly. He said we are more interested in somebody from within the regime. So he's trying to think more like Venezuelan model. So he wants to have somebody from Venezuela come in because it will look a lot like 1953, replacing a democracy with a monarchy. Iran is not exactly a democracy, but right now there are hardly any democracies in the world. Even the US does not qualify as a full democracy according to the democracy index. Uh, so this is a very authoritarian regime, but it still has a lot of so it's going to be very interesting to see who who Donald Trump is going to say we are talking to people, we are looking at certain people. No, you're killing anybody and everybody. So he's claiming that there are other moderates. If they are talking about Larijani, I don't know whether Larijani would be interested. Larijani was the primary negotiator with Obama and others for the Iranian nuclear deal. And there's not much discussion of the Iranian president who is still alive. So we will see what happens, but it is very clear that the Trump administration wants to be involved in the selection of the next leader, uh, leader Ayatollah Khamenei, successor, and they also want to be involved in establishing. Basically, they are talking vaguely about regime change. So one of the lots of commentators here feel that the Trump administration really does not have a strategy. Uh, well, they do have tactical strategies. I mean, their tactics are very clear. They want to diminish Iranians' defense capabilities. They have destroyed its air defense system. There's complete air domination by the Americans and Israelis. They are trying to completely eliminate its ballistic missile capabilities. According to American reports, 300 missile launchers have been destroyed. So they want to deplete and destroy the rocket and ballistic missile, the stockpile that Iran had, about 3,000 or 2,000, according to various reports. They also want to weaken the IRGC and decimate as much of them as possible. So we know what the tactical goals of the American and Israeli military attack is. And then what? They are hoping that the public will simply rise, and they seem to be under the impression that there is a uniformity in the public opinion that is not very clear from lots of reports that we see coming from non-American sources. It is very clear that yes, there are people who are against the regime, but there are also people in the country who are for the regime, and then there are people who may not be for the regime but are definitely against in US and Israel. So you have this bizarre scenario of three types of broad populations in Iran, and how is the United States going to? The US is also complicating its own problems by reaching out to as many alternatives, like reaching out to the Kurdish people. I hope the Kurds are not foolish enough to fall for this. The last time that America incited the Kurds, it was against Saddam Hussein in the 1990s. And then the US abandoned the Kurds. And then Saddam Hussein, who survived, there was no regime change under George H. Bush. Yes, Iraq was defeated and kicked out of Kuwait, but Saddam Hussein remained in power, and then he went and literally used uh, gas to kill thousands and thousands of Kurds. I hope the Kurds remember their own history. So if they're going to come here, it's up to Israel. It's nothing to do. Why negotiate with Trump? He has no autonomy on his own foreign policy. Netanyahu may decide, okay, I've done enough now. I'll remain prime minister in Israel. Let's stop fighting, and then the U.S. will have to stop fighting, and then it'll again abandon the Kurds. There's no guarantee. So I would, if the Kurds are listening to me, I would say be very careful. You may think this is a great opportunity for you to do whatever you want to do. Go ahead and try it. But let me tell you one thing, that don't take Donald Trump's comments or anything seriously. Listen to Netanyahu, and whatever Netanyahu wants, that's what America does. So that is another thing. So Trump, because of all this weird stuff, is complicating, making the whole demands quite complicated. There was an interesting article in The Economist that I want to talk a little bit about. The Economist says that for the last 20, 30 years, Netanyahu has been demanding from America that America go to war and against Iran for Israel. But they said that it is also an interesting scenario that if the war goes wrong, Netanyahu will be blamed, because then Donald Trump said, oh, I have no control on American foreign policy. It is Israel which controls my foreign policy. So if my foreign policy goes wrong, don't blame me, blame Netanyahu. So there is one particular some post war. I think that's what he's going to go and tell MAGA, but MAGA is going to tell, well, we elected you because you were America first. So there is already a domestic opposition going on to Trump. But as usual, the Republicans have not taken any principled stance. There was vote both in the Senate as well as in the House to constrain Donald Trump's War Powers Act. And it failed because all Republicans and actually some Democrats also voted with Trump. And of course, Fetterman, for example, the senator from Pennsylvania, I don't know why he's even listed as a Democrat. He should be simply listed as APAC. He's not even a Republican, he's just APAC. So we should have a third category of senators: Democrats, Republicans, and APAC. So people like Fetterman and uh, Schumer. In the House, people like Jeffries, Hakeem Jeffries, and of course Ted Cruz, and all of these fellows. They should just be listed as APAC senators, GOP senators, and Democratic senators. We have three parties in the U.S. Parliament at the moment. Anyway, so I just wanted to point out to this particular new development that shows that on every new day, Donald Trump seems to be setting new goals, and now he has simply elevated the bar. This idea of unconditional surrender is ridiculous. He's not going to get it. He couldn't get it from the Taliban. The Taliban didn't have it. And Taliban is nothing, just ragtag bunch of people. They fought the Americans for 20 years without an unconditional surrender. The US didn't get an unconditional surrender in Vietnam. The US did not get an unconditional surrender in Iraq. And they expect to get an unconditional surrender in Iran. I don't know who's advising these people. Who is advising Donald Trump other than Netanyahu on this foreign policy? So what Netanyahu actually does is puts enough pressure on Trump to get what he wants, and then he just abandons Trump to say all stupid shit that Trump can say, and he doesn't really care about Trump. He doesn't care about America. He doesn't care about Trump either, I think, and Trump has not yet fully realized that. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. And if there are any interesting questions and comments, I'll be happy to take them. I also want to remind members, like Nadia Siddiqui is a member. So thank you for joining Conversations. And on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. US time, New York time, that is Eastern EDT, and that will be about 9 p.m. India time. I will be doing a Zoom conference with members, and we will talk about my visit to India, to Sri Lanka, I spent 12 days engaging the Indian strategic community. I met some very prominent people. I will talk about that. And I'll also answer all the questions that you have, listen to your suggestions, etc. It'll be a good time on Sunday, the 8th. For those who are in the US, remember the time changes on the night of the 7th. So make sure you set your clocks correctly and don't miss the meeting because of the change of time on that night. So the time will change on the 7th. Uh, Seventh night. Okay, so Nadia Siddiqui has a question. Very good question. If Iran doesn't surrender, then how can Trump exit the war and save face? Well, that is his trouble. But given Trump that he could say something stupid tomorrow, he's already saying "MEGA, make Iran great again," and then he'll say, "Oh, fine, we have won the war, and we are going to stop now." So he'll just stop. And his followers are stupid enough not to ask him much of the question. There is a small segment of his MAGA crowd, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Megyn Kelly, and others who are being very critical of Trump. They're sick and tired of him. And they're also, I think, profoundly disappointed. They thought this was the last hope of the MAGA ideology to be held, which is to make America great again or make America white again, whatever you want to think of it as. And they fail. They see that the United States is failing at it. And Trump is abandoning all his promises. He promised to release the Epstein files. His administration is trying its best to protect as many pedophiles from all over the world as possible. And I think the primary reason for that is because of the Israeli connection to Epstein. And then the second thing is that he promised no more unending wars, etc. And that also continues. Imagine if Epstein was a Muslim from a Muslim country. Imagine what kind of articles would have been published in this country about Islam, about Muslims, about the history of Islam. Books would be out by now. Oh my goodness, it would be like an open season on Islam if Epstein was a Muslim. But right now, Epstein and his connections to the Israelis are so well known. In spite of that, you will find very little discussion about that. There's much more talk about Epstein being a Russian agent than a Mossad agent. So yes, this country has become pretty dumb and is getting dumber and dumber. And you can see that by the nature of its leadership. It's very difficult. I went to Arnab Goswami's show on a couple of occasions. The man continuously shouts. He doesn't ask a question. He shouts, and then what is also tragic about it is he doesn't even listen. So it's very difficult to have a dialogue. But there are other places where you can go to Karan Thapar, and Karan Thapar always has an agenda. So he paraphrases everything that you say from his point of view, the point that he's trying to make. But at least he lets you speak. And there are other shows like Satya Hindi. Even on the Lalan Top, I found that they let you at least elaborate your points, especially the show like Duniadari, Netanagri, etc. And then there are a lot of critical dissident YouTube shows that you'll find me on. I just did a show on Nous, Nous, and it was very, very interesting. You should go and see that. And anyway, I just want to share with you that I just published an article. I want you all to go. I'm going to share the link here. It's an article on the economic consequences. Let me just remove this. The energy shock, US-Israel war with Iran's impact on Indian, Chinese, and global economies. So I co-authored this with Dr. Santosh Mehrotra, who is one of the most prominent economists in India, well known worldwide. He teaches in England, he teaches in Russia, worked at the UN and UN Development Agency, UNDP, I think, etc. So he has a very global experience. And so please go and read that article. I talked about how oil prices and and gas prices, natural gas prices, and the supply chain crisis with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran. So, in fact, also discuss what possible alternatives strategies for sustainability that countries can adopt. So please go and read this article, The Energy Shock, US-Israel War with Iran's Impact on Indians, Chinese, and Global Economy. So anyway, so that's all I have got to say. I will come back again tonight to talk to you guys, probably around 9:30 in English, and then at midnight US time, which will be 10:30 in the morning India time on Saturday. And of course, friend of the show, some good news coming from India. A friend of the show, General Atta Hasnain, has just been appointed as governor of Bihar. And so congratulations to him too. Take care.